Hi everyone, I'm Prateek, and in this video we're going to be looking at the Dental Foundation Training Application Programme for 2022 entry. If you want to see similar educational content, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Now, due to COVID, the application for DFT places has changed drastically over the last couple of years. So in this video, I'm going to talk you through some of the key steps in the application process and give you a couple of hints and tips along the way. Before we go on, as with anything relating to COVID, it's really important to stress that these may change depending on what happens with the pandemic. So the main place to stay up to date with information is using the CopDent website. DFT is generally a 12-month employed program working in NHS dental services, and typically people will do this as soon as qualifying. DFT is crucial in enabling you to work on the NHS. Along your DFT process and your DFT year, you will have certain competencies that you have to meet. So the main source of information regarding the application process and any other information regarding DFT is the CopDent website. They have a huge number of documents there. To give you an idea of the competition for these places, the DFTs that are due to start this coming September had around 900 jobs on offer, and this is slightly fewer than the number of candidates applying, so there may be some people left without a job. As with dental core training and previous DFT applications, this is a national recruitment process. So all the final year dental students and people potentially from abroad or who have been unsuccessful in previous years will apply through the same platform, Oriel, and everyone will be measured against each other. Ultimately, through the interview process and application process, you will then be given a rank, and this rank will determine your job options. Health Education England have confirmed that the application process this year will involve two key parts: a situational judgment test and a virtual communication scenario. There will be no face-to-face interviews in this application round. The SJT will account for 75% of your mark, and the communication scenario will account for 25% of your mark, which will then ultimately give you a ranking. So here are the rough dates. Applications open mid-August and they will then close towards the start of September. And this is also the deadline for any disability applications that you may want to put in, so make sure you get those in at the same time. The SJT will then be done some point in November, and then later on, either late in November or early December, we expect the virtual communication scenarios to be done. Preferencing and offers will usually happen towards the end of the academic year, though these dates are still to be confirmed. So the application opens in the middle of August and will be on the Oriel website as a job advert. So you need to register on the Oriel website. You can put all your details in even ahead of time, so this can almost self-populate any applications you do in the future. But as soon as that job advert comes up, you need to click on it and start an application form. To ensure that you take part in the DFT recruitment this year, you need to make sure you submit the form before the deadline. If we then look at the situational judgment test, so like I said, this accounts for 75% of the mark towards your ranking. This will be held at a Pearson VUE test centre, similar to your driving theory test. You will usually have around 105 minutes to answer anywhere between 110 to 120 questions. Situational judgment tests are not an assessment of your clinical ability or knowledge. They are more an assessment of your professional attributes and your behaviours. You can find a bit more detail about these factors on the CopDent website and what will actually be tested. As the dates for the SJT approach, you will be sent an email with information on how to book your test slot at your chosen Pearson VUE Centre. It is on a first come first serve basis, so you need to make sure that you respond to the email and sort out a time slot as soon as possible. Otherwise, you may end up travelling hours to a test centre to try and sit your exam. The best way to prepare for an SJT, I feel, is actually practicing them. There are two main types of questions, and by practicing mainly the structure and how to answer these questions, it will mean that when it comes to your SJT, you're in a better position. There are example SJTs available on the CopDent website, and please make sure to check out my other video on tips for your situational judgment test, which has a huge range of tips and tricks on how to maximise your SJT score. There are also some really helpful books to help you practice, including the Oxford Assess and Progress book, the Situational Judgment Tests for Dentistry book, and the Dental Foundation Interview Guide. Next, we have the Virtual Communication Skill Station, which will account for 25% of your mark. Again, you will be sent an email advising you of the details for the interview, and you need to make sure you accept and you book your interview appropriately through the provided links. If you don't do this, you may not get the time you want and it might cause you unnecessary stress. The range of scenarios will be available ahead of time via the Oriel website, but out of these you will only be examined on one scenario. Additionally, actors won't be used, so typically for a communication station you would usually have an examiner and you'd usually have an actor. better. Some key tips are practicing. Practice over Zoom, Microsoft Teams, whatever it may be with your friends, your family, to just get used to doing an interview on a virtual setup. So whether it's simple things like looking into the camera rather than at your screen, and how you present yourself in a non-verbal and verbal way over the screen. Other simple things, make sure you dress appropriately. Although it is an online interview, you need to still dress as though you're going to an interview, and make sure you're in a good, clean environment where you're not going to be impacted by poor Wi-Fi connections or any other noise. Also go and watch my video on interview tips for online interviews, and that'll provide you with a bit more detail and some more information on how to tackle virtual interviews. From these two parts of the application process, so the situational judgment test and your virtual communication scenario, you will then get a score. This score will then equate to a rank. As I mentioned, this is a national recruitment process, so all applicants will be ranked against each other, and this will ultimately determine your job options. So, as part of your job options, you need to do what we call preferencing. And preferencing involves you ranking where you would like to work from 1 to however many jobs there are available. And ultimately, once the entire process is completed, based on your rank and the job available, you will be matched up. So the jobs will be available via the Oriel website again, closer to the time of preferencing. And in the year just gone, rather than having regions to preference, they had to preference all the practices that were providing foundation training places. So there were a whole lot more to rank compared to the average year, where we just usually would rank the regions that you're going to work in. And therefore, if this is likely to happen again, make sure you allocate plenty of time to do this. Once you've done this, you will submit and lock your preferencing. And then once the offers go out, you will be allowed to hold your option for 48 hours. And usually you will get 3 choices. You will have accept the job you've been given, accept with upgrades, or reject the job you've been given. If you reject the job, you run the risk of not getting a job at all. If you accept the job, you accept the job you've been presented with, whether it is your first rank or it is your 100th rank, you're accepting that job. The other option, accepting with upgrades, gives you the option to potentially be bumped up. So for example, if you ranked 100 and you got your 50th choice in your preferencing, if you accept with upgrades and someone above you drops out of the system for some reason, then you may get moved up your preferences and you may end up getting your 40th preference of job. So it gives you that opportunity to move up your job preferencing and potentially get a job that you preferred. And this period of upgrade will usually be open for a week after the offers go out. It's important to stress that upgrades are relatively rare in DFT. They're more common in DCT because more people tend to drop out of the application system, but it's always worth accepting with upgrades if you want the potential of being moved up your preferencing list. Although you'll be given lots of information on the schemes and potentially the practices, one of the best ways to find out about practices is either using their website or alternatively finding someone who's currently working there as a DFT. Some practices can present themselves really well in a block of text or on their website, but actually as a trainee in that environment, it's not very nurturing. Whereas other practices may not look great online, or they may not put a huge amount of information, but actually they're an excellent training practice. A couple of other quick tips with regards to your DFT application. The first thing is being organized. So I've shared some of the dates with you here. There'll be lots of emails that go out to you about various points of the application. But make sure you either get a calendar and put these dates in, and also you're staying ahead of what's happening. You're already looking at SJTs, or you're already looking at setting your Oriel account up, and this will mean that you're not stressing, you're not scrambling around close to deadlines to try and get things completed. Make sure that after you've watched this video, you go to the Oriel website and go to the Copden website and read all the information that's presented to you, because there'll be other little bits of information that I haven't touched upon that may apply to you. And as the application progresses, and if there are changes due to the COVID pandemic, those are the best ways to stay up to date, so make sure you stay in touch with those. Familiarizing yourself with Oriel is another good thing to do before you start your application. Although it is relatively easy to use, some aspects can be a bit cumbersome and more difficult to understand, so it's worth, like I've mentioned, going on there, registering an account, starting to navigate the website, see where the job adverts are published, see how to go about applications, and then you'll gradually become more familiar. And finally, practice. Like I've already said, make sure you practice your SJTs using the books that I've mentioned. I'll put the links in the description. Make sure you practice your interviews with families, friends, etc. So I hope you found this video useful. Relatively quick summary of the DFT application process, but any further questions, please feel free to message me. Please make sure to like, comment and subscribe, and until the next video, take care.